Today my adventure will begin right here on this very tall dune located here in Jockey's Ridge, which is in Nags Head, North Carolina. That's right. I'm in the Outer Banks today. What a view from up here. It's going to be quite the adventure. My wife did make the trek with me all the way up here. You can see her off into the distance there. Walking back to the truck to get warm because it is quite chilly today, and the wind chill is pretty brutal. It's about 40 degrees this morning, but that's okay. I have a coffee in hand to keep warm. I got my hoodie, long sleeve, layered up where I can stay warm today during our little adventure as we're going to leave here, hit Nags Head, make our way due south all the way down to like Buxton area, Cape Hatteras area. We're just going to look at some things. I don't really know everything I'm going to look at today. I do know I want to stop by the town of Rodanthe. I've always wanted to go by there and look at the homes that are there on the ocean front that beach erosion has really taken a lot of the homes. Quite a few of those homes in that area has fallen in over the years. Quite a few of them fell in this year during some of the storms, the nor'easters and things like that. And that's what we're going to do today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Man, that coffee is nice and hot. Let's go ahead and get our day started. Should be a good one. Welcome to the Outer Banks, the OBX. I've not been here since the 1980s. I was just a little kid last time I was here in this area. Really excited. Okay, so this here is Nags Head, North Carolina, where I'm located at the moment. And the population here in Nags Head is 2,965. Median age is 55.4. Pretty old community, but I would imagine a lot of people here are retirees. So now let's look at the ethnic breakdown. So 94% is white, 0.74% is black, and mixed race is 3.95%, and then other is 1.32%. And then we look at the income. So income per capita here in Nags Head is $42,462, well above the North Carolina and the national average, as you can see. And then the median household income is $78,235. That is really good. I had a really good median household income there, probably one of the higher ones that I've seen lately. Now, in order to make that type of money, we're going to look at labor type. What do people do here for a living? So this here is the breakdown for that. As you can see, construction industry is 6.1%, manufacturing is 7.6%, wholesale and retail services is 30.2%, and then the public administration is 12.8%, transportation, warehouse, utilities is 1.7%, and then education, health services is 3.2%, and then 38.4% is other. And now we're going to look at crime. So crime here in Nags Head is 3.6 per 1,000 people, slightly above the North Carolina and the national average. And next up, let's look at cost of living. Nags Head's cost of living is a 119. North Carolina is a 94. That is a pretty high cost of living. As you can imagine, anytime you're in a coastal community, cost of living is going to be a little bit higher. You're on a barrier island. The further away you get from the mainland, most of the time cost of living is going to be more expensive. Goods and services is a little higher, but pretty much normal with the national averages. Your groceries is a 101. Healthcare 96. That's really low, actually. That's not too bad at all. So that's kind of surprised me a little bit. Housing is definitely high, 162, when the rest of North Carolina is at 85. And then you got transportation is a 100, slightly higher than the North Carolina average, and utilities are 105, which, you know, you are at the beach, so utilities are probably going to be a little bit more expensive. So one more thing I want to show you before we leave this area, and this was the main reason I came here, because they have a little bit of a defunct, abandoned roadside attraction here in Jockey's Ridge. And there is actually this old sandcastle that's over here, and it's left over from a mini golf that was here back in the 1970s and 80s until it finally closed down. Now, the mini golf to this day is still here. But the fun fact of it all is, it is underneath this sand right here, because this right here, Jockey's Ridge, is a living, moving sand dune. So it kind of moves with the winds, almost like the tides of the ocean. So it just kind of moves around, it covers things up. And right here is the leftover, or some of the remnants of that sandcastle. As you can see, it's right here. This here is part of the old mini golf that was here. I think it was called Jockey's Ridge Fun Mini Golf or something like that. But this dates back to the 70s. So it's been a while ago. It actually closed in the 80s. It must have opened in the 70s and closed in the 80s, if I do remember. But that right there is what's left of it. Now, I feel pretty lucky today, even though it is very brisk and cold, that I'm able to see this, because a lot of folks can come here and this thing is completely submerged with sand. There's nothing, all you might be able to see is like a little piece of the very top of it, you know, which that's probably from where I'm standing right here at the bottom, the base of it. I really like this right here, the seashells on this little like cement walkway. Maybe it was a bridge, it went over to this castle, maybe it had a moat, I really don't know. But yeah, that's like 10 feet above my head to the very top. And the sand will actually fill that in. If you feel the breeze I'm feeling right now, that cold air coming out of the north, I can see when it really gets whipped up good and the wind's blowing, that it could totally, enough sand could shift and move that thing up probably within a week or so, or maybe shorter time period, who knows. But all in all, just wanted to just show you that. I thought that was kind of cool. So now let's move further south out of Nags Head, down toward maybe the Bodie Island Lighthouse. We can kind of start there, and then we'll just make our way on down through P Island, Rodanthe, Buxton. A lot of cool stuff to see down there. Let's go ahead and go. I'm ready to get in the truck and get a little warm. Okay, I've made it here to the lighthouse, the Bodie Island Lighthouse. And interesting enough, I was looking online about this lighthouse here, looking at some of the fun facts and stuff like that. And it actually, one of the things I found out, the very first fun fact I found, it says it's pronounced Bodie, B-O-D-Y. I did not know that. Even though it is spelled B-O-D-I-E, locals say Bodie, and the name way come from the Bodie family who once owned the land here. So I thought that was a little fascinating thing. I would love to hear in the comments down below, do you call it Bodie or do you pronounce it Bodie? So here's another fun fact about the lighthouse itself. This is actually not the first lighthouse that was built here. The first lighthouse was built in 1847, and it had structural issues. The second lighthouse was built in 1859 and was blown up by the retreating Confederate troops during the Civil War. And now this is the third, this here is the current tower that was built in 1872. And it stands 156 feet tall, and you can climb 214 steps, the equivalent to a 10-story building, and it has been open for climbing to the public since 2013. But unfortunately today, it is not open to the public to climb up for whatever reason. Don't know if it's because it's so windy or what, but it is definitely not open today, unfortunately. So before I leave the grounds here, I want to try this out. Discover the Bodie Island Boardwalk Trail. So we're right here. So I'm just going to walk out this. Right here is the lighthouse itself, and we're going to make our way out here to this viewing platform and check that out. This is a really nice walkway. It's in great condition. I would imagine this is fairly new. And right here is, oh, it's actually elevated. That's going to be really cool. I mean, really cool. It's going to be cold. I bet the wind, you're going to really feel the wind, but you guys won't feel it. I will, but it's all good. We're going to see some nice views of the marsh. It's going to be really cool. And we can look back and check out this awesome lighthouse right here from that distance. All right, I have made it out here to the observation deck. Quite the view out here. That is for sure. Out here in the middle of this marsh. I'm sure there is abundance of ducks, things like that out here. Kind of give you a quick little pan around. It's very vast. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but off in the distance, there is a bridge that's going to take us over to Pea Island. That is our next stop as we drive south toward Hatteras. And there's a life-saving station over there that's been abandoned for many, many years that we're going to go check out. I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit. Yeah, when I was looking out over that marsh, I was thinking about my dad and my grandpa. They actually came down here out in this area. I don't think it was the Outer Banks or not, but it was somewhere close by. I think it was on the Pamlico Sound. Maybe they would go duck hunting. And that's kind of what that made me think of. And this sign right here is actually titled A Hunter's Paradise. And right there is the lighthouse. And my wife, she actually toughened up and she made it out here. She's done pretty good. But we're headed back now, right?
Yes, I am anyway.
I'm going too. It's pretty nipply out here. Okay, we're going to head on back, then make our way over to Pea Island next. Say so long to the Bodie Lighthouse. Or is it Bodie? Or is it Bodie? You tell me. Okay, and here we go as we're fixing to head across the Oregon Inlet. It's pretty cool here. On the right-hand side, you can see the Sound. Then as we make our way further across the bridge, we're going to be able to see the Atlantic Ocean and the Sound. So that's going to be really cool. As we look off to the right, that there is the Pamlico Sound. And then as we make our way up here to the very top of the bridge, this is wild. You're really going up an incline here to get to the top. I guess to allow for boats and vessels of that nature to pass beneath. And now we look off to our left and you can see this is the inlet itself. You can see the Atlantic Ocean out there. Very, very cool. Really nice. Very, very scenic bridge experience. And right here, as we're coming off the bridge over onto Pea Island, right over there is the next location we're going to. That there is the life-saving station, built back in the late 1800s. Okay, so right there is the bridge we just crossed. See the Oregon Inlet. Now this little pier right here, right below the main bridge, this is called the Bonner Bridge Pier. And that is, the parking for that is just located right here next to the bridge itself. When you exit the bridge onto Pea Island, if you take your first left, that will bring you to this parking location. And now the rest of this is just walking through these oats, this little sand duny trail over here to the life-saving station. And then once I get there, I'll fill you in on a little bit of the historic value to this structure. Okay, here is the Oregon Inlet Life-Saving Station. That is pretty awesome. And I gotta say, this area here is a vast wasteland. I mean, it's just sand dunes upon sand dunes. You can see the Atlantic Ocean out there. Look at those whitecaps on the horizon. It is wild out here. This is like no man's land. And I don't know if you can tell, but way off there in the distance, you can actually see the Bodie Island Lighthouse. That sounds so weird to say Bodie. But there is the lighthouse we was just at moments ago. Okay, so now let's go over the origins of the lighthouse station. So the Oregon Inlet site began as a life-saving station in 1874 when Congress funded 29 stations along the Outer Banks to help rescue ships in distress off the dangerous coast. The original station was originally named the Bodie Island Life-Saving Station, though it was located on Pea Island, south of the inlet. In 1883, naming was reorganized. The old Bodie Island Station became Oregon Inlet Station. A different site north of the inlet took on the Bodie Island name. So here's a little fun fact about this station. This is not the original. The station you see today is actually the third one. The first washed away, the second one was destroyed by a storm, and then the 1898 station is the survivor. That is the one we are peering at right now. This here is the one that was built in 1898. Because the Oregon Inlet constantly shifts, the station had to be relocated twice to keep it from being swallowed by the sand or washed into the water. Okay, I think that is going to pretty much wrap it up here at the Oregon Inlet Life-Saving Station. Got to learn a little bit about this old structure. And I gotta say, back in the day, I had heard about the abandoned life-saving station here in this area, right in the Oregon Inlet. I always assumed it had something to do with lifeguards because it had life-saving station. My mind was not thinking like way long ago. I didn't think about it as this was actually used as a lookout for ships in distress off the coast, because this is the graveyard of the Atlantic here in OBX. The Outer Banks, just tons of shipwrecks littered up and down the coastline here. So definitely would make sense now. It all rings true. I understand what this was for. So I'm glad I came here today and seen it, learned a little bit, and passed it on to you good folks. Let's go ahead and make our way on down to Rodanthe. Can't wait to go down there and see those homes and show you how they are literally, some of them almost tumbling in the ocean as we speak. Been a lot of homes lost the last several years in Rodanthe. Let's go down there and check that out now. Okay, I'm back out here on Highway 12, headed south toward Rodanthe. As you can see right here is the Pea Island National Wildlife Refuge. And this is a really famous road because anytime they have nor'easters or storms out here, you always hear about this road being covered up by sand. And as you see off to our left, that is the ocean side, the Atlantic side. The sand dune is like right up against the road. So with a lot of whipping wind out of the northeast or whatnot, or even out of the east, I can definitely see all this sand being blown across this road, you know, making traffic, you know, and travel impossible. But just wanted to state what, you know, Highway 12 looks like as you drive south toward Hatteras. And it's very interesting because I don't think I've ever been on a road that looks quite like this one. Okay, I'm here in our next location. As you can see, some of the debris from some of the homes, I would imagine, that has been washed away by the ocean. Look at their yards, just completely, just sand has just taken over. And the road is still partially covered in sand from their past storms. But there's one home here particularly that I wanted to come see today, and it is called the Black Pearl. I've heard rumors online that the Black Pearl has finally fallen into the sea, but I wanted to come down here anyway, you know, for myself and check it out, as it looks like this lady has the same idea I have, and she is trekking the best she can up that sand dune. But look how the road just ends here. This is it. So let's turn around and go check out these homes. Okay, I have vacated my truck and I have made the quite vigorous climb up this immense sand dune. And much to my surprise, kinda, I was really happy to see that the Black Pearl, which I read in different sources online that supposedly it has fallen, but it has not fallen. This is the Black Pearl house here in Rodanthe, North Carolina. This is so cool. So the Black Pearl is a beachfront home here in Rodanthe. According to local sources, it was built in 1980 at a time where there were plenty of normal vegetation and protecting it from the ocean with sand dunes and etc. So over the decades, coastal erosion progressively ate away at the protective dunes and vegetation in front of the house. So I know a lot of people look at this as it's just a matter of time. But I know for the last several years, people's been saying this house is going to fall. It kind of makes me wonder why they never moved it. I mean, this is an epic, like, big house. But maybe it's the money. I mean, what happens when this thing falls into the ocean? It seems like environmentally that would be like really bad. I have been keeping up with the history about this place for several years now, and I just know for whatever reason, I wanted to come and see it before it fell into the ocean. All right, I'm glad I came here. I'm glad I got to see the Black Pearl. And now it's time for us to move on and go check out some other stuff here in the area. Okay, I made my way over here to a road by the name of East Point Drive. And we're going to take a little walk down here to the end of the road, and I'm going to show you some more oceanfront homes and kind of show you what it looks like here. And check out this awesome home. That is purple and circular. Just kind of makes me think of Barney. I love you, you love me. Just kidding. Just a joke. Just a joke. No flashbacks for anybody back to the 90s. And to be serious though, let's get into some numbers. So the population of Rodanthe is a very, very small community. Only 178 people call this home. The median age is 57.5, which tells me this is most likely more of a retirement community. That's a pretty high number. And next up, we'll look at the ethnic breakdown. 55.62% is white, 29.21% is black, and then mixed race is 15.17%. And now let's look at the income. Income per capita here in Rodanthe, $42,260. And then the median household income is $55,000, which is above the North Carolina and national, and right on par with the national average. It's not quite beating it, but that's a pretty good income for this area. 55 grand is a pretty good median household income, that is for sure. And then poverty level, there is no poverty. Look at that, 0.0%. Fascinating. And then next up, we'll look at crime. Crime is very, very low here. Not much of a crime rate at all. Look at that, 947 is the estimate out of 100,000 people. I mean, that's almost, you know, that's nothing. And nothing to it. Very small community. A lot of visitors, you know, and I'm sure most of the crime is from, you know, vacationers spending their time here, maybe getting a little crazy or whatever, but very low crime rate here in Rodanthe. Now let's go over cost of living. Look at that, 126. Cost of living is pretty high here, but you are, once again, you're on a barrier island. You're kind of away from the mainland pretty good here, so that's pretty expensive. Goods and services is not terrible. Groceries are a little bit high at 101, but once again, not too bad. Look at housing. Healthcare is really low, 96, but look at housing. Housing is 185. I don't know. It sure as heck ain't the ones on the beachfront, because I don't think they're worth anything. But I guess if you're second or third row back, you're gonna have beachfront eventually. So maybe that's why the cost is so high here. Yeah, like if you have these houses right here in this area, you know, and you're this far back from the beach, you can hear the ocean. I'm sure from that upper deck up there, you can see the water. I would imagine these homes are probably pretty valuable. You know, you're feeling pretty good about yourself, at least for the next 20 years, maybe. I don't know. Beach erosion here is definitely a problem. The sand just is being eroded from these beaches so quickly. So you're not oceanfront, you're actually like, you know, behind the oceanfront homes, this house right here, and it is actually for sale. Very curious to see how much they're offering, how much they're asking, I should say. So they're asking $499,000 for this home. $499,000. I don't know. I mean, I would imagine somebody would buy it eventually, but I just don't know what to think about all this sand. I mean, it's like me and my wife was talking when we was driving in here. Man, if you just open up your front door, sand probably finds its way in the house, you know? And there's nothing worse than having sand in your house. Believe me, I know. We are in a beach community ourselves. We own property at Carolina Beach area. So yeah, sand is definitely something that is can kind of be a pain. And look at this house. Look at his yard. Now he has a home that is elevated. It's on stilts, but you would not know that because look at his yard. It's full of sand. Look how deep this is down to the road. This is like almost as tall as I am. This is about my eye line right here. Yeah, and look, right there's another home. It just sits right on the water line. Look at that. How crazy is that? That is so sad. Unbelievable. And you can see down this way, right here, you can see where other homes used to sit there but have been washed away. They're gone, completely erased. And this poor house right here, it looks like it's sitting on sand, but it is on stilts. Like I said, had probably parking beneath the house, as so many oceanfront homes have. Park your vehicle, just like this one. But look at all the sand that's crammed up underneath the house. The sand dune has literally moved back naturally. Way down there, down the beach, you can see more homes sitting right on the water line. Just waiting for the next big winter storm to blow through to possibly, you know, just wreck them and take them down. So my thought is, why don't they just do a beach nourishment program here? Very similar to the one that Carolina Beach or, you know, Pleasure Island is doing right now. Here in December, as we move into early 2026, they will be pumping sand out of the inlet, out of the ocean, and blowing it up on the beach to give us more beach, more protection for our homes and valuable real estate, okay? Well, here, there's a little bit of an issue because cost and funding is the biggest constraint. A major barrier is money. An engineering assessment for Rodanthe estimated the one-time beach nourishment project might cost around $40 million, which, to kind of show you how much Carolina Beach and Curie Beach, I think that normally runs in the 10 million range, and they do it like once every 3 to 4 years, give or take. So here it would cost $40 million, and that doesn't even account for the ongoing maintenance, given how fast the shoreline erodes here is very, very quick, and replenishing sand would need to be frequent and leading to a lifetime cost of hundreds of millions of dollars for the long-term fix. I absolutely love this house. That is really, really cool. That purple roundhouse, there's something about round I like. I don't know if I'd want to live in a roundhouse. I just like looking at them. I just think they're so fascinating. Really cool. Okay, so I think that will pretty much wrap it up here in the small town of Rodanthe. Really hate it for these people, but you know what? I have always felt that nature always wins in the long run. And unfortunately, nature is definitely winning with these oceanfront homes here. Really, really hate to see that, but all in all, let's go ahead and drive a little bit further south, down toward like Cape Hatteras area, see what we can get into down there. So actually, it's warmed up a little bit. Feeling a lot better right now than it did when I first started the video up there at Jockey's Ridge. Okay, I had to make a quick little stop here right off of North Carolina 12 because I found this cute little hut right here. And lo and behold, this was a United States post office from 1910 to 1992. Just to give you a little, you know, construction information. The tiny post office measures 8 by 12, and it had boxes for 94 people at one time. It's now closed, it's now been retired, but nonetheless, I'm glad I stopped here and checked this out. This is so freaking cute, and I love it. Got the little letterbox right there, and it looks like they just recently fixed a new porch and steps. It's very nice. Look, they got a plaque up here. Is this on the National Register? It sure is. Look at that. That is so awesome. National Register of Historic Places. That means this thing's going to be here for a long time to come. It's got a little welcome mat down there. There shows you how long it was in business. This is so cute. Wonder if it's actually open. Nope, it's actually locked. Ah, it's okay. At least we got to see it. Okay, I just want to make a quick little stop. So now let's just carry on a little bit further south into Hatteras. And this right here is the Cape Hatteras National Seashore area. This is one straight stretch of road. And I mean, there is no homes down through here or anything. Okay, I have made it down here to Buxton. As you can see, this right here is a lot of scaffolding jetting about 200 feet up into the air. And this is the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. Not very pretty to look at when it looks like this. So as you can see, they're doing some work on the lighthouse, doing some construction, some maintenance, I would imagine. This is the tallest brick lighthouse in America, standing 198 feet. It is the tallest lighthouse in the US and the second tallest in the world. So another fun fact is this is not the original Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. The original was built in 1803, and the lighthouse wasn't tall or bright enough where ships could see her when they were passed by. So it was replaced in 1870 with this current one. Another fun fact that you may or may not know is this is not the original location of the lighthouse. Matter of fact, when I was here, back in the 80s, probably when I was about 7, maybe 8 years old, my mom and dad brought me to the Outer Banks, and I remember us going in the lighthouse at that time, and we was able to enter and actually walk up the steps quite a ways. So in 1999, engineers moved the entire lighthouse half a mile inland to save it from the ocean because of beach erosion. The move took 23 days, and it is considered one of the greatest engineering feats ever done in the United States. They actually moved it 2,900 feet. And if I turn around and pan where this parking lot is right here, this is actually the clearing they used when they moved the lighthouse off the ocean front back this way to save the lighthouse, because the ocean was winning the battle of erosion, that is for sure. It was really a hectic moment. They was building jetties out there, trying to steal sand from one side of the jetty to fill in front of the lighthouse. It was quite crazy. I remember seeing that on the news quite often back in the 90s. And then they finally just said, heck with it, we're going to try to move it. And they were very successful at that, as you can see today. So speaking of moving the lighthouse, it's this little diagram right here gives you a good idea. So right here we are. Right here is where the Hatteras Light Station is today. And this is the path where it moved from, was way over here. This here is the original lighthouse location. So yeah, look at that. Even on that drawing, that looks very, very far. So all that being said, I think we're going to have to take a little walk down there and go check out the original path, because last time I was here, that's where I seen the lighthouse. So I think we're going to walk down there and look at it. Kind of see what's left behind, if there are any remnants of the old one. Be curious to see if the old jetty that used to be there is still in that area also. All right, as I'm walking out the pathway here toward the original lighthouse location, I just noticed they got these little plates in the ground here. This is really cool, where they document where they were on day 13. So it says lighthouse move path, moved 288 feet, day 13, June 29th, 1999. Just 1,331 feet to go. That is pretty cool that they documented it so precisely day by day, and they know exactly where the project was on that day, and they document it here in the pavement. I think that is really awesome. A nice little detail that I love to see. Now we're going to continue on walking. But one thing I want to notice, what the heck is that stuff? Look at all that garbage over there. I wonder if this is like some houses, because I see like maybe a jacuzzi. There's a mattress right here. It's almost like a dump location for maybe houses that had fallen into the sea. Not sure. All right, let me catch up with my wife. She's braving the cool, crisp weather along with me on this walk. Oh, this is kind of cool. They got this plaque here. It says the shifting shoreline of the lighthouse. You can see how close the ocean is. And remember I was talking about a jetty? Right there's that jetty wall they built. And they was trying to steal sand from the south side where it would fill in on the north side and save the lighthouse. And it worked for a little while, but I think they knew that they were going to lose regardless, so it was time to move it. Okay, a little change of plans. You can see the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse off in the distance. Its resting location. And I had to kind of take a little side path over here on top of this monstrous sand dune. Look how beautiful this is. Followed a few other people. But the original path was to take us right out through here. This here was the old parking for the lighthouse. And then right up there on that point was the old location. Now, they have it blocked off down there due to there's some kind of health problem going on down there with like petroleum. And it can make your skin itch and things like that. They say don't go swimming. I don't think that's a problem because it's like 45 degrees out here, but nonetheless, it's blocked off from health concerns, so we did not venture that way. But I found this dune we can stand on top, and you can actually see the old jetty that I was referring to earlier that actually tried, at least bought the lighthouse some time until they could come up with a plan to move it. As you can see, it's still there on the beach to this very day. So all that being said, that's going to be it here for the lighthouse, the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse. Let's go move on to one more stop, and then we're going to wrap our vlog up. Hope you guys have enjoyed it today. I know I have. Let's continue on one more time. Notice this little cedar tree right here, all by its lonesome, beaten and battered by the wind and sand, but it's still living. But that kind of segues into my next thing I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something that is called the legend of the Cora Tree here in Buxton, North Carolina. So there was a woman named Cora long ago in the early 1800s. A mischievous woman named Cora lived in Buxton Woods with her young daughter, Sabrina. They kept to themselves, rarely talked to neighbors, and were often seen wandering through the maritime forest at dusk. Now, back in those days, people would whisper that Cora was indeed a witch. So suspicion, unfortunately, turns deadly. When livestock started disappearing, crops failed, the townspeople needed someone to blame. They accused Cora of witchcraft and blamed Cora and her demon daughter. They were responsible for the failing crops. One stormy night, a group of villagers went to confront Cora, but when they reached her home, Cora and Sabrina were gone. There were no footprints, no tracks, nothing, as if the women had simply vanished into thin air. Days later, someone noticed a strange mark carved into a nearby live oak. It said one chilling word, Cora. Just her name, no explanation, no sign of her or Sabrina ever again. Some people said the letters have not been carved by a person, but burned into the wood by supernatural means. After Cora vanished, locals insisted strange things began happening near this very tree. Horses refused to pass it, dogs wouldn't go near it, people heard a woman calling out, Sabrina, deep in the woods. Lights flickered around the branches of the tree at night. Travelers felt watched as they walked past. And one belief stuck. If you speak Cora's name at the tree after dark, bad luck will follow you. So all that being said, do I believe the legend is true? Who am I to say? I'm just sharing the legend that other people have written about and talked about this tree. This tree is really famous to people who come to this area. And I wanted to make sure I came by and checked it out because nonetheless, it's still a very impressive and awesome looking live oak. All right, my friends, this is where we will be ending our video today, right here at the Cora Tree, or some people even call it the witch's tree. I really had a great time today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I really loved seeing all of Rodanthe and all the places we was able to go to today, the life-saving station, Jockey's Ridge, where we opened the video. A lot of cool stuff today. Really had a great time. And all that being said, my friends, I am done. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I am the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Say so long. Bye-bye to the witch's tree. We got to get out of here before dark, because if you say that name around dark time, you never know what might follow you home. Right? Yeah. So it's time to head on out. This has been a good day today. It's an awesome live oak nonetheless, even if it is haunted. Yeah, I love live oaks. I think they're beautiful.